The town of Port Harcourt had never seen a pastor like Pastor Dan. With his thunderous voice, glowing white suits, and dramatic altar performances, Pastor Dan commanded attention. The sign above his towering church reads, "The Consuming Fire Deliverance Ministry," a name that struck fear. It was said that if you stepped into that church, you will never live the same. On every poster, the bold words, "Miracles happen here," are written. Crutches left behind, tumors vanishing, demons cast out, life and direct. The crowds believed every miracle. They had no reason not to. Week after week, the testimonies multiplied, and so did the offering basket. But behind the glory was a secret darker than night. Pastor Dan wasn't a man of God. He was a master illusionist. His miracles were crafted carefully. He paid actors that are often planted in the crowd. Some arrived dramatically in wheelchairs. Others screamed and fell, foaming at the mouth on cue. He rehearsed them like theater. Every Saturday night, the church auditorium was a stage for planning what the congregation would believe on Sunday. No one suspected except Nina. Nina was 19, small for her age, with curious brown eyes and a quiet demeanor. She had lost both parents in a fire when she was just 14. With nowhere else to go, Nina had found shelter in the church, helping with cleaning and sleeping in the backside of the church auditorium on an old mattress. Everyone assumed she was just a harmless orphan girl, barely noticed. But Nina noticed everything. She noticed the same sick man who got healed last month appearing again with a new face, a new wig and crutches. She noticed the envelopes Pastor Dan handed out to new faces during late night meetings. She noticed also the sly glances and whispered rehearsals, and one night she began to use her phone to record. Armed with a second-hand smartphone gifted to her by an old church member, Nina started hiding it behind the flower pots, under and around the pulpit. Anywhere she could capture what truly happens in the shadows. She uploaded the clips to a secret online folder, naming them by date, such as Fake Miracle, March 12th, Witchcraft Drama Rehearsal, April 3rd. Each video was worse than the last. Nina watched as Pastor Dan laid out scripts, coaching the fake actors to scream when he touched their heads, how to cry convincingly, how to pretend to walk again after being healed. Sometimes he even practiced how to speak in tongues in front of the mirror, perfecting his rhythm and volume for emotional effect. But one night, she almost got caught. It was a humid Friday night. Nina had just hidden her phone under the communion table, the camera peeking out through the decorative cloth. When she heard heavy footsteps, she froze behind the curtain. Pastor Dan entered the hall with two strangers. One of them carried a teenager on his shoulder. "This one will pretend she passed and came back to life," Pastor Dan said. "This Sunday's service will shake the city of Port Harcourt." "She doesn't look right," the man said. "She doesn't need to. I just need her to stay still and quiet. We'll coat her lips with white powder, make it dramatic, but her eyes will be still and open." Nina's heart pounded. Resurrection? This was beyond fake healing. This was deception at a new level. She crept away silently, heart racing. That night she did not sleep. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like and comment. Thank you. She watched the video over and over again, stunned by how far Pastor Dan was willing to go. By now, the church had grown very large. People traveled from neighboring towns, hungry for miracles. The weekly offerings overflowed. Testimonies flooded the social media. And the bigger the lies grew, the more dangerous Nina's mission became. Her friend, Cynthia, a church member, noticed her withdrawn behavior. "Are you okay, Nina? You've been acting strange." Nina hesitated. "Should I tell someone?" "I'm fine," she replied, forcing a smile. But she wasn't fine. She was carrying the weight of a secret too dangerous to share. Nina had proved that could shatter the Consuming Fire Deliverance Ministry and the great Pastor Dan, but only if she found the courage to release it. That night, as she sat alone in the church, she whispered, God, please, if you are real, help me, because the lies are getting bigger and I can't do this alone. She did not know someone was watching her from the shadows. Sunday morning came with thunder in the sky. Inside the Consuming Fire Deliverance Ministry, drums beat furiously, voices rose in worship, and the massive congregation swayed like a forest in the wind. Pastor Dan stood at the pulpit, clothed in white and gold color suit, his voice booming like a lion. Somebody shout, fire! Fire! The people screamed. Pastor Dan smiled behind his holy mask. He already knew what was coming next. On cue, 2 ushers wheeled in the girl from Friday night, pale as chalk, lifeless in a stretcher. Shock filled the sanctuary. She was pronounced not alive by doctors in Ibadan yesterday, but the Lord told me she would live. The choir shifted keys to something dramatic. People stood on their feet. Phones were out, hands raised. Pastor Dan shouted in tongues, slapped his hands over her chest and roared, come back to life. The girl opened her eyes slowly, then sat up. The church erupted. People clapped very excitedly. It was another grand illusion, but not for long. By midnight, a video clip appeared on a small Christian blog, grainy but clear. It showed Pastor Dan in a dimly lit church. This one will pretend she passed and came back to life, he said in a video. The clip was only 20 seconds long, but it spread like wildfire. By morning, it had been reposted on TikTok, YouTube, and WhatsApp groups. Comment sections overflowed with shock, confusion, and outrage. Wait, is this our Pastor Dan? This is fake, right? Please tell me this is edited. He raised my son from a seizure last month. Back at the church, chaos brewed. Pastor Dan's phone buzzed endlessly. Church leaders called, media outlets called. His wife sat in his office, sobbing into her hands. Dan, what is going on? She cried. Someone is trying to destroy me, he roared. This is the devil's work. But deep down, he knew someone had betrayed him. He summoned his core team, Brother Felix, Sister Boma, and Evans, the cameraman. And then Pastor Dan asked, who recorded me? Who was there Friday night? No one outside our usual circle, Felix replied. Someone hid a camera, Boma muttered. Dan's eyes narrowed. Check every inch of this church. I want every corner searched. No one leaves until I find the snake. While they tore through the sanctuary and storage rooms, Nina watched silently from the pews. Her heart pounding. She had uploaded the video anonymously at an internet cafe. She thought she would feel safe behind a fake email and no face. She was wrong. That afternoon, police sirens blared outside the church. Police officers stepped out, led by an officer from the Religious Fraud Division. They entered calmly, but with authority. Pastor Daniel Eze? Pastor Dan stood. Yes, officer. You're wanted for questioning regarding allegations of staged miracles and financial deceit. Allegations? He snapped. Do I look like a fraud? This is a spiritual attack. The kingdom of darkness is... No, Pastor. We have video evidence. The congregation, still reeling from the viral video, now watched their beloved shepherd being led out in handcuffs. Phones came out again. Some cried, some stared in disbelief. Others just left silently, their faith in pieces. Nina slipped away unnoticed. She returned that evening to the now empty church hall. For the first time, the building felt cold, like the spirits that once echoed there had left. Then her phone rang. An unknown number. Whoever you are, the voice hissed. You made a very big mistake. Nina froze. Who is this? You think exposing Pastor Dan makes you righteous? You've brought shame to the body of Christ. You regret this. The call ended. Nina stared at the screen, hands trembling. Her legs gave way and she dropped to the floor. She had exposed the truth, yes, but at what cost? She was alone, and now she was a target. Cynthia came that night, shocked to find Nina sitting in the dark. Nina, are you okay? What happened here? The news, is it true? Nina looked up with tired eyes. It's all true. Cynthia stared at her. Wait, did you record that video? Silence. Nina nodded slowly. Cynthia was in shock. You brought him down? You brought all this down? I couldn't live with the lies anymore, Nina said. People believe in miracles. They pray with their last breath, hoping. And he was using it for showbiz. Cynthia sat beside her. You're brave. You know that. But I'm scared, Cynthia said. Good. That makes you human. But you did the right thing. That night, as they lit a candle together and prayed quietly, Nina felt something stir in the air. Not fear, not shame, but a strange silent peace, like heaven itself had whispered, well done. But outside, the wind was furious, and in the distance a familiar black car pulled up to the gate. The war wasn't over. The headlights from the black car pierced through the night like daggers. Nina and Cynthia ducked behind the altar, hearts pounding. They found me. Cynthia, Nina whispered. The church was no longer a place of worship. It had become a battlefield. Footsteps echoed. Two men entered dressed in dark clothes. Their voices were low and sharp. She's here somewhere. Pastor wants that phone. Without that phone, there's no evidence. Cynthia was in shock quietly. Nina clutched her phone tighter. Every recording, every lie, every staged miracle was on that device. If they got it, everything she had recorded would be erased. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. They crawled silently towards the storage room. Cynthia whispered, there is a back exit through the old chamber. They moved like shadows. Just as they reached the door, one of the men shouted, there they are! They ran. Bullets did not fly, but fists did. One man grabbed Nina's hair, yanking her backwards. Cynthia kicked him in the stomach. Nina screamed, let me go! Then, suddenly, a beam of torchlight filled the hallway. Stop right there, shouted a commanding voice. 3 officers, led by Police Officer Adewale, the same police officer who had arrested Pastor Dan. The attackers were caught and handcuffed within seconds. And they said to Nina, you are safe now, Nina. A female police officer helped her up. You did well. We've been watching the church for weeks, but your video gave us what we needed. Nina wept, her tears crashing down like the rain outside. She was finally at peace with herself.